Bloomberg Audio Studios.
Podcasts, radio, news.
Single best idea on Apple Podcasts. To get the week started, a busy economic week. PPI tomorrow, that's the business inflation. It's not the same as my youth. They've reformulated it, but it's become very important. And then critically important, the CPI report on Wednesday, all including Chairman Powell will be looking at that. And then retail sales, pro tip, remember that retail sales dynamics in the actual series is reported nominally. It's not inflation adjusted. So it's more noisy. There's more dynamic there. I do look at what's called the control group, and sort of that's where I focus on as Michael McKee looks at 30, 40, 60 line items of retail sales. We'll do that on Thursday this week. On the jobs front, and unfortunately we can be talking any economic theme, but when Tom Porcelli's on with PGIM, I have to go back to his competency that brought him to my attention and all of financial media years ago, which is his careful study of the job market, wage growth, wage dynamics, if you will, and then inflation-adjusted wage growth, the real wage. Here from PGIM, Tom Porcelli on the fragility of the market.
I think it's very fragile. I think, and again, everyone should prove this to themselves. Just look at real spending year on year, and then look at the change in the unemployment rate year on year, and look at that relationship. The consumption tends not to respond well when the unemployment rate is rising. And I think that's the real challenge for the economic backdrop. I mean, I see slower growth in the months to come. I still think that we can avoid a recession, but the Fed has to get on with it to basically help in that regard. But it's going to be a close one.
Tom Porcelli of PGIM there, and we'll get much more on this as we get closer to, dare I say, the CPI report Wednesday, and then on to that critical jobs report. I don't even know what date it is. It's sometime, Labor Day gets in there. School goes back September 4th for one of the cherubs. I was sort of shocked. That's like Southern or Midwest. That's appallingly early. But anyway, we get to September and we'll get a jobs report as well. We never know who's going to come in the door in a home run today. We have different phrases we use to judge people. And she was lights out. Steph Guild is with Robinhood, and she's doing strategy for Robinhood. It's just a fascinating conversation. She comes from J.P. Morgan, small bank, and she's come over to Robinhood, which is the biggest adjustment of anybody in the history of Bloomberg Surveillance. There's no question about that. And she was riveting on all that's going on with a younger dynamic. She said average age at Robinhood is 33 years old. I thought it was like 15 or 16. It shows you what I know. But here is Steph Guild on teaching people that are doing meme stocks how to be diversified. Steph Guild of Robinhood.
You have to, stay diversified. I always say, everyone's money is kind of like a pyramid. You need to have a emergency cash, just so you lose your job, whatever happens, you've got that for at least 6 months. Then the next layer, make sure you have some diversification. And our customer base, we were seeing it this past, week of volatility, they weren't just buying the names that are in our Robinhood Investor Index. They were also buying broad-based index funds.
This is really
using
cool.
it as a way to add to it. And then after that, yes, invest in your aspirational things, because I think if you always just ever stay fully diversified, you're never going to see you have to take risk to get return. That always comes with it.
Steph Guild, really successful with Robinhood. We'll have her back again soon. Are you ready for this? She writes a blog for Robinhood, Stephanie Guild, and it's called Investors Guild, Investment Guild, something like that. How cute. It works. It's single best idea on a Monday before a very busy week. Let me tell you about our burgeoning social, because we're making some changes. I think they're constructive, and they're particularly addressed to a market we knew it existed, but we did not understand the size, and that is our international market. We're out on Apple CarPlay. That's worldwide, at least 20 nations. Android Auto, same thing. Android Auto doing very well. Both of them are coming out with revamps, if you will, of their software. We're out on YouTube, and subscribe to Bloomberg Podcast. That's by far and away the best place to help us. And of course, we're doing this podcast, and we're thinking of launching, if I can figure it out, Instagram. And we're going to be doing Bloomberg Surveillance on YouTube, Instagram, with a huge thrust to our international audience. We're getting it out in the coming days if Vet Bill can teach me how to do Instagram, because I failed. I took TikTok 101 and failed, so we're trying Instagram. This is on Apple Podcasts, Single Best Idea.